The Bajau people, also known as sea gypsies or sea nomads, are an indigenous group of people who have traditionally lived on the water in Southeast Asia. They are known for their exceptional diving abilities, as well as their unique cultural practices. The Bajau people can be found in several countries, including the Philippines, Malaysia, Indonesia, and Brunei. Historically, they have lived on boats or in stilt houses above the water, and have relied on fishing and trading to sustain their way of life. They build boats, called lipa-lipas, which they use to transport themselves across the sea, and they don't often set foot on land. The lives of the Bajau revolve around the sea. Bajau people spend most of their lives on the boat. They give birth on the sea and die also on the sea. Everything happened on their boat, but because most of them are Muslims, they usually will bury their families on the mainland. All the funeral process will usually follow the Islamic tradition, from bathing to burial process. One of the most notable aspects of the Bajau people is their incredible ability to free dive to depths of up to 70 meters without the use of scuba gear. They have adapted to life underwater over generations and have developed larger spleens, which allows them to hold their breath for longer periods of time. They learn from an early age how to control their breathing underwater and to fish, meaning that by the time they reach adolescence they are usually skilled fishermen, often using traditional methods like handline fishing or spearfishing to catch fish and other seafood. Explaining how it is that the Bajau are able to hold their breath for so long while diving requires both proximate and ultimate explanations. The researchers found that Bajau divers had significantly larger spleens than Saluan individuals. The spleen stores oxygenated blood, which can enable long bouts of not breathing. In fact, marine mammals tend to have enlarged spleens. This additional storage of oxygenated blood provides a proximate explanation for how Bajau divers can hold their breath for so long. This proximate explanation then leads questions about ultimate causes. Is an enlarged spleen an evolved adaptation, or is it the result of phenotypic plasticity? And if it is an evolved adaptation, how did it evolve? First, we must ask, if is an enlarged spleen the result of a genetic adaptation produced by natural selection? It is possible that spleen size was not under natural selection in the Bajau. Instead, larger spleens could simply be the product of phenotypic plasticity. If lifting weights every day results in larger muscles, it may be that frequently holding one's breath results in a larger spleen. The researchers tested this hypothesis by comparing the spleen sizes of Bajau divers to Bajau people who do not engage in much diving. They found that non-divers within the population have spleens that are just as large as that of the divers. The researchers' finding that spleen size among the Bajau is equally large in divers and non-divers suggests that spleen size is a genetic adaptation and not the product of phenotypic plasticity. Their next step, therefore, was to search for genetic evidence of natural selection. Scientists used DNA samples from the Bajau, the Saluans, and more distant populations to perform a selection scan to search for genes that have been under positive natural selection in the Bajau. The researchers did find a promising gene PDE10, which is associated with spleen size. These findings serve as further evidence that the breath-holding ability of the Bajau is a genetic adaptation caused by natural selection. Overall, this is a good example of how scientists can use empirical evidence to test hypotheses about whether a given trait is an evolved adaptation, without depending on just stories about human evolution.